Vamos a ver. Please. Go on. And we have 4, 1, 2. Good evening, everyone. We're about to start this meeting. It is now 6:01.
¿Te vas a join o no? Okay.
Fine.
Okay, Andale. Doc was having trouble signing on. He just sent me a text.
He said Mr. Salinas.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you, Guzman.
Mr. Salinas is having trouble logging on, but he's trying to log on.
Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. We're about to start this meeting, and it is now 6:01, and we will call this called meeting of the Board of Trustees of Roma Independent School District being held on this Monday, June 8th, 2020 to order. Let the record show that this meeting was duly posted according to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Agenda item number 1, roll call. Board Vice President, Mr. Juan Antonio Sainz.
Here.
Board Secretary, Mr. Dagoberto Salinas. Board Member, Ms. Leticia Garza Galvan.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Raul P. Moreno Jr.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Ricardo A. Perez.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Reynaldo Rodriguez.
Here.
And myself, Board President Clarissa Alvarez. Let the record show that a quorum is present. But before we begin, I must read something here. For the benefit of the members of our community who are listening to this meeting either live or via a recording, I would like to make a few announcements. In response to the coronavirus, COVID-19, on March 16, 2020, Texas Governor Greg Abbott temporarily suspended a limited number of open meetings laws. For the present time, school districts can conduct board meetings via video conference or teleconference instead of holding face-to-face meetings. To promote proper social distancing and in the interest of maintaining the safety of the Roma ISD employees, parents, students, and board members, the district has elected to conduct this meeting via video conference. Let the record reflect that the district has complied with all applicable Open Meetings Act posting requirements. Notice was posted both physically and online on the Roma ISD website for more than 72 hours before this meeting. For the purpose of our meeting tonight, please be advised of the following. 1, At tonight's meetings, board members are not gathered in a central physical location, but we do have a live quorum in attendance via video conference. 2, members of the board are meeting by use of the Microsoft Zoom software application. Members of the public engaging in public comments will be provided access via Microsoft Zoom to allow for two-way communication. Zoom is available for download on your computer or smartphone. All members of the public will also have live access to the meeting via a live stream feed available on the district website. This is a remote meeting, and we obviously cannot promise that these systems will be free of complications, but we generally anticipate the systems will provide enough capacity to accommodate everyone. Item number 3. To avoid potential connection problems, I would also encourage all members of the public to make sure you are in a location with a secure internet or telephone signal. 4, the district has provided notice that members of the public who wish to participate in public comments can register to do so by emailing the district in advance of the meeting. For anyone who registered in advance, you will receive an invitation to participate in the Zoom meeting at the appropriate point in the meeting, and then afforded time to provide public comments. For future meetings conducted during the present emergency, the district may also allow members of the public to submit written comments in advance, which will be read by the board secretary into the record of the meeting. Item number 5. All other procedures regarding the conduct of this meeting will adhere to board adopted rules. Number 6, please be aware that a recording of this meeting will also be made available to the public as required. And the last item, number 7, if any person has any questions that the procedures associated with this board meeting, please feel free to contact the district. Having read all that, again, let the record show that a quorum is present. Agenda item number 2, public comment. None.
No, there were none.
Okay. Agenda item number 3, consideration possible action on cybersecurity certification, presented by Ms. Cadena. Mrs. Cadena.
Unmute. Ms. Cadena.
I'm sorry. There we go. Good evening again to Madam President, board members, and Mr. Guzman, Superintendent Guzman. I'm here to request permission to certify on your behalf the cybersecurity training certification for local governments form. This form certifies that the district employees who have access to a local computer complete, and board members as well, complete the cybersecurity training. In order for you to give me permission to certify, the board needs to verify the completion of said training. House Bill 3834 requires that districts choose from a list of cybersecurity training programs provided by DIR. Roma ISD chose and selected KnowBe4 based on our research. The purpose of the training is to focus on forming information security habits and procedures that protect information resources, and to teach best practices for detecting, assessing, reporting, and addressing information regarding security threats. You have a copy or the copy of the report. There's 2 reports there. The first one is the number of employees that we have at our district. That is that needs to be recorded, or reported rather. The number of employees with email accounts, those numbers there, 1,083, include the board member emails accounts. 310 of those individuals are not required to take the training because they don't use the computer. Required to take the training are 773 individuals. The number of employees who've completed the training as of 5:45 was 762. In the next section, in the pink, the row section there, we have the employees required again to take the training, 773. We have 11 incomplete trainings. We have 4 who have not started the training, and we have 6 who are in the process, or they're in progress. This is vocabulary comes from the reporting of the security training software that we're using. Also attached to your report is a list of each employee and their training status. That gives you an idea of who has completed the certification. And like I said, we're at 99.2% of completion. This certification needs to be submitted by June the 14th, which is next Sunday. I have contacted the administrators at the campuses regarding these individuals who have not completed, and they should complete by tomorrow. Okay. Also, you have 2 forms with you. You have a form where there's a space there for 4 signatures. What that does, it certifies that the local government is in compliance with the employee security awareness training. This form is not submitted to EA. It does not need to be submitted. It is for our records, but we do need to have it in case of an audit. And I was told that when our financial auditors come in September or October in the fall, that they come in, they will be requesting this information. Okay. The next form, the other form that you have there, is a copy of the certification, of the website certification. I could not download that because it's a form that's online and they don't allow you to download it. But you can see where they're requesting the local government, the name of the organization. And I went in there just to see if our organization was there. And yes, Roma ISD is there. So it's a pull down menu. Our name automatically comes up. Then we just need to fill out the legal, if you give me permission to submit this form, I would type in my first name, or if you would like Mr. Guzman to submit, whatever you all decide, submits this form, has to type in their legal first name, their legal last name, their email, their phone number, and their title. And then there's a certification there that says, select the year that you're certifying for. This is a training that we're going to have to do every single year from now on, from what we were told. So you certify that, first of all, that the local government is in compliance with the employee security awareness training requirements, and that the local government has authorized this person to complete the certification. And like I said, this is something that will be taking place on every year from now on.
Ms. Elena, I have a few questions.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the time frame given to everybody to take these trainings?
Okay, so since this was the first year, we were told, we started around January. And then it took us some time to but to select a vendor. So once we selected the vendor, that took time establishing all the requirements that we needed to have in place. And then we sent them a list of all of our users, trying to decide, I think what took the longest was trying to decide who those users were, like who uses a computer, who doesn't. So then once that was done, they uploaded all the data and everything was ready to start when we came back from spring break. Because we had until, I was gonna start the training. Okay, we start when we come back from spring break and we give them until May 31st. Being that this was something new, we wanted to give them enough time. Well, we all know what happened. So the training, we still gave everyone enough time because we were all working May the 1st to May 31st.
And
But
then,
from now on, moving forward to next year, all new employees will have to go through the training the first 30 days. And then the rest of us, we will do this training in the fall, so we can have that out of the way. And then I don't know when the submission will be for next year. This year, since it was new, TA did give us some time. And, but next year, we don't know when the submission date is, but it is on the calendar to be done starting sometime in mid-September. But for the new employees, immediately.
right. And when you assign these different trainings, because you're going to be using it for, it's different trainings. It's just not one course, right? It's different trainings throughout the year. When you assign these trainings, these are, you set them up and automatically an email gets to those people that need to take this, the training, correct? And that's sent with ample time so that they can complete the training. Of those 11 people that have not completed, are they from different campuses? Are they one campus? They're just multiple?
There are different campuses. Of course, one of the campuses being that they have the most number of users, their numbers are going to be higher. But they, like I said, they are addressing it.
Okay. Okay.
And I've been calling and several times, and they have been calling those teachers and individuals, because it's not just teachers. Some of them are paraprofessionals. Some of them are clerks, secretaries.
Mhm. Would you have access to know if they have internet service, or are they not, maybe since all this going on that they're having to do it from home, maybe they don't have the proper equipment to do it, or maybe they don't have the internet service to go in there and complete the courses?
I know that some of the campuses did have them come in to a specific area in their building to complete, but no one has said that they haven't. Because as a matter of fact, I spoke to someone today and she was telling me that she was having problems. And I said, call your principal and ask her if you can go in tomorrow. If not, call me and we could set something up here. We would figure something out. But she's the only one who asked me, who had a concern. Yes.
I don't have any more questions. I don't know if anybody else has questions. And just for the record, I believe Mr. Dagoberto Salinas logged in at 6:15. Dago, you there? Dago, can you hear me? Maybe not. Yeah, I guess I'll,
Madam President, if there's no further questions, I'd like to move to allow Mrs. Cadena to submit the necessary information for certification for cybersecurity as presented.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Mr. Moreno? I have a motion by Mr. Perez, a second by Mr. Moreno. If there's no further discussion or questions, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rodriguez, that was an aye, yes? Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
have, is
So
Mr.
everybody has their readings, guys. Your parents are here. Váyanse despacito one by one, just so you all no se amontonen.
Letty, if you can please mute your, I guess you have someone there, if you can please mute it. So again, we have a motion by Mr. Perez, a second by Mr. Moreno, and I have 6-4. And I'm not sure about Mr. Salinas. I know he's there, but I'm not sure. You can hear me?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure that you got to hear the whole presentation, but we're in the process of putting into a vote. So I'm not sure how you want to vote.
And that was on the first item, right?
Right. That is agenda item number 3. And it is, I guess, Miss Cadena, just a briefing that the cybersecurity certification, the people that took the training and who's still not completing it.
Okay, so it's a training.
I'll vote out.
Mr. Salinas.
Yes, that's fine. I took a look at the board book and I vote for it.
Okay, so then we have 7-4, 0 absent and 0 abstain. Motion passes, Mrs. Cadena. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Agenda item number 4, consideration possible action regarding energy savings service for Roma ISD. Mr. Alfonso Perez.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Yes, I am presenting a study that was done here at our district. It's been a little bit over a year on some energy services that were presented to us from Train. There's several items that need to be done. It's an LED retrofit light. This would be all the lighting throughout the district, including offices, classrooms, parking lots. Not the stadiums, because the stadiums already have LED lights, and not DGG either. All the other schools except for DGG, because that one already has it. In order to do this, it would take approximately about 5 to 6 months. And they would begin with the larger schools, which is the 2 middle schools and the high school. Along with this, there's a rebate that's being offered right now from AEP for at least, they placed 251,000 in there. It should be a little bit more than that. The project cost is 2,062,000. And then we would actually, my recommendation would be to finance this for no more than 5 years at a 1.99% interest. And the estimated savings per year, as I said, is 446,000. And the actual payment per year would be 380,000. So even during the 5 years that we're paying, even then we're still having a savings in there.
Okay. And again, this is to replace all the lighting except the football field and DGG, correct?
Mr. Perez, what about the wiring? Are we gonna need new wiring, or this is just the actual fixtures, or what is it that we're gonna be fixing or replacing?
It's the lighting itself. They're doing away with the ballast. We don't need ballast anymore. These lights are brighter. They're cooler. So actually, the AC shouldn't have to work as hard. And along with this, I should also mention, I didn't mention this, that it also includes 8 ACs. We call them HVACs, of course. I think 4 or 5 for FJ Scott and 3 for the dressing rooms at the high school, because those have they're since we built the school. Actually, they've been there, and those we're having a lot of issues with those. So go ahead.
That's the high school gym
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
and FG Scott.
Mr. Perez, I'm pretty sure this particular company Train, they're bonded, they're insured for everything. Because I know
Yes.
this is a delicate matter. I mean, it's about light, it's wiring.
Yes,
So,
they're very
yeah.
reputable. They've been around for many years. We dealt with them for many years also.
Train is a company, the AC company, correct?
Correct.
Let's see, Mr. Perez, you said that this study has been going on for a little over a year.
Más o menos, yes, sir. Yes.
And is this this is part of their contract with the district, or did we have to did we have to pay them for this this
No,
study?
sir. We haven't paid anything for it. No. We talked to them. We had looked at it because we knew it was out there. We're a little bit behind schedule on actually changing all this lighting. I know most schools have already changed to LED lights throughout their campuses and district. Mr. Barrera, Yamil Barrera, was involved with this, along with even Manuel Garcia was helping me with this, and we went through it, and you know, at the end, it's a huge cost savings, and it's a big benefit for the district. One of the other things, you know, that came about, you know, and I know it's a question that we all have if we're going to start the school year. If for some reason, and I hope we do start, but if for some reason we don't start, we'll even save more money electrical wise. So, I mean, if the sooner we do this, the quicker we'll start saving money.
So once again, the total estimated cost in this 5-year finance, the total cost will be $2,062,000.
Yes.
And
The rebates.
and then a rebate, a one-time rebate, is that correct? A one-time rebate
There's
of,
a one-time rebate. It shows here 251,000. So you subtract that from the 2,062,000.
and then we will be responsible to finance the 1.8
Yes, sir. Correct.
at 1.99%.
Yes.
And what you're saying is in 5 years, we're going to be able to afford that payment every year?
Actually, we're going to make it the payment starts after they complete the project.
Yes.
So the first 5 years, we make those payments, and after that, it's a savings from there on.
But you mentioned, Mr. Perez, 446 savings and 380 for the payment, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's for each of those 5 years, I would imagine, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we're looking at a payment of about 380,000. Is that correct,
Yes.
sir?
380,000 and a savings of 446, and of course that savings goes much further than 5 years.
Yes. Hey, Mr. Perez, I was going to ask you on those settlements. Remember, we had said facilities upgrade and all that. Is there any way we can use that money, or we just rather stick to the 1.99% and do the 5-year plan? What's your recommendation there?
I would say since we're getting a low interest rate on this,
Okay.
and the project is paying for itself, that we go ahead and finance it.
Because of the savings that we're going to be getting.
And
Okay.
of course, my recommendation would be if we get even more savings off our electricity, we can increase the payment also.
Oh,
That's what I was going to ask, Mr. Perez. Besides it being, in other words, throughout, you'd be saving, in other words, on every payment.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Mr. Perez, I have a question. Do we get are we paying taxes on our energy bills,
No, ma'am.
or did that already get resolved, or
That was already
we've
resolved.
ne-
That was
when
resolved.
was it resolved, Mr.
It
Perez?
was just resolved a couple of weeks ago, ma'am.
So for how many years were we paying taxes on the light bill?
It was the other company we had before. I'm trying to think. I think it was about 3 years.
So for the past 3 years, we were paying taxes. Are we going to get reimbursed all that money, Mr. Perez?
Yes, ma'am. We're getting about $307,000 back for that also.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I know we have the same, I think, companies as the city, and I know the city had that same issue.
Yes.
So I'm glad that they brought that up so that
Yes.
we can get that reimbursement as well.
Yes.
Mr. Perez, in regards to the LED lights, about 2 years ago, we presented, or there was going to be a presentation on a grant that was available that would replace all of our LED lights for free, as long as you changed, I guess, the company, which was a company that was on buy board and gave a very, very good rate for the light. But we turned it down because, of course, I don't know, for whatever reason, it wasn't recommended. But this $2 million in lights, or the replacement of lights, was going to be covered at 100%. Is there any way that we can look back at that grant so that the school district doesn't have to pay these $2 million?
What grant was that, ma'am? I don't remember that.
You know what
It
I was
was,
just going to say? We have the grant.
I can't hear Mr. Moreno.
But we passed
I know.
up
I can't hear you, Mr. Moreno.
Raul is asking if we passed a grant.
we passed
No,
up a grant. We
Oh.
passed up a grant.
Oh, no, that we were applying for a grant, but then the person who was in charge of the grant was asked to stop with all the grant writing, I think, and they didn't continue with it. But this was one of the ones that they said that it might not be convenient for the district because you needed to change the light company. Even if it was going to save us a lot of money, throughout the process, because like I say, just in the bulbs, I mean, you're seeing it right here, it's $2 million. So I don't know if maybe it's something that we can look at instead of having to pay this money. Maybe look at that opportunity or look at that option again. I looked it up. It's called Bulbs Out or something like that. And I believe the application is still available for school districts to apply. So we may want to look into it.
Mr. Guzman, who's our grant writer? I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
We don't have a grant writer.
Okay.
No, we don't have one right now. We had one at the time, or we had someone that was working on that.
Mr. Perez, but it's or maybe I'm not understanding it. It's costing 2 million, but there's a rebate, there's whatever, but then every year there's going to be a cost savings where you kind of make up. So it really, it's costing that, but it's really, aren't you making, in other words, you're making it back up, right?
Yes, we are. Correct.
But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. That's just your estimate. And I know I spoke to Mr. Guzman earlier. I'm a little bit concerned about spending, $2 million right now. We don't know what's going to happen. There's articles on TASB coming out on a daily basis. I think the most recent one was the concerns that most districts were going to have financially because of the added expenses due to the COVID-19, and because they feel that we're going to have to hire more custodians, and there's going to have to be more cleaning supplies that are going to have to be purchased. I think they estimated about, for a district our size, the example they provided was for 4,000 or for 3,000 students. I'm sorry, 3,000, approximately 488,000. So for a district our size, which is almost double at 6,400, it's a projected increase of cost of about $1 million. I just don't see what the need to purchase LED lights at this point would be. I think that we need to wait and see what's going to happen. I think that we need to wait and see what's happening with the actual budget. I know I requested a budget workshop at least to see how we're going to end off the year, but to approve a $2 million budget right now when we really don't know where we're going to end or if we're still at a deficit or not, I just think it's not a good idea.
But and I understand that, and that's fine. But I just want to understand, Mr. Perez.
Yes.
We're not.
You're breaking up, sir.
It's a contract for 2 million, but we're not taking. I guess what I'm getting at, Mr. Perez, is we're not taking 2 million out of our general fund.
No, we're not. This is
taking 2 million out of our general fund.
It's a 5-year.
Payment plan.
Yeah.
What are we taking out of our general fund, Mr. Perez?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
But you're still paying for it, Mr. Perez. So you are taking out something.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
not getting it for free.
We're either going to pay for it in the lighting, or we're going to pay for it in electrical costs. And if we pay for electrical costs without changing the lights, we're going to pay a lot more. And by changing it, these lights are going to pay for itself. And we're going to have even though we're still paying in those 5 years, we're going to have a savings. And then after those 5 years, we're going to continue having a savings.
Yeah, that's just like I say, it's all an estimate. I mean, if we were able to pay taxes for so many years and not know that we were a tax exempt company, I just don't see how we can estimate this right now until we actually know how much money we're going to have left on our budget and how much money has to be paid, because you're saying we don't have to pay it, but we do have to pay it. And there's going to be a monthly fee that we're going to have to pay to replace all of these bulbs. And I think there's just so many other things that are more.
Well, I mean, we're going to end up paying more for electricity.
Keeping our staff happy, maybe salary wise, $2 million will pay for a lot of increase in salary. I think we pay $1.5 million to increase.
And Mr.
No,
Perez,
but it's money.
I don't mean to put you in a spot, Mr. Perez, but I'm sure all that has been budgeted.
Yes.
This is something that you have been looking, you've been looking into it for a while. I'm sure you're still keeping our teachers in mind and
It's
keeping
also
everybody
it's a
happy.
cost savings for the district. So this is a big cost savings. So I
Okay,
mean,
Mr. Perez.
it's my obligation to present this to you all
Right.
because
And then
it's
we put it up.
available and it's a good thing. And I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Mr. Perez, it's awesome to give, like Ms. Garza Galvan said right now, 2 million to our employees. You know what? Let's 3, 4. Let's do it. The point is, we are not taking 2 million away from our employees. We are not taking 2 million away from our employees.
Or our students.
It's not coming out of the general fund. Am I correct, Mr. Perez? Mr. Guzman?
You are correct.
So how are you going to pay the monthly fee, Raul? Are you putting in? Are you paying it? Who's paying it?
For one,
Definitely not you.
for one, we don't pay monthly, man. First,
The monthly fee or whatever it is.
we're paying our
And then the interest, you're getting this money now at an interest rate. So, I mean, when we get an interest rate, even for our CDs for $5 million, how much do we make every 6 months? So you're going to pay that money extra in interest. The project is worth $2.6 million. You're getting an estimated rebate, but we don't know.
No,
Okay,
not 2.6, because
2.0, okay.
2.60.
2.0.
One of the reasons-
2.062. I'm sorry, Mr. Moreno. Thank you for catching that. It's a 2.062 and then 250,000. So it's a total cost of about $1.8 million. That money has to be paid, whether you pay it monthly or you pay it today or you pay it tomorrow, you pay it in full. You're paying $1.8 million and you're paying a 1% interest on that money. So you are paying it. And it
But
is
it's
coming from the
one-time,
general
correct?
fund.
It's not a one-time payment, right, Mr. Perez?
No, it's
Excuse
not.
me?
It's not a one-time payment, the 1.8, correct?
No,
from
I
what
mean,
they
we're gonna
said.
be,
It's
we're
from
gonna be
what they
getting the
said.
savings, and at the end of the year, when we get the savings, we make a payment.
That's your estimate, Mr. Perez. We have no guarantee that that's what it's gonna be.
But I think all businesses run on estimates. I don't think anybody gives you
If I'm
exact
not
numbers.
mistaken, and we don't like to
That's
compare
fine.
or anything, but I think that that's what the city did. You know what they estimated that they were gonna save, I don't know how many thousands in the future. And of course, there's no way of knowing how you're gonna save that, but that's what they project.
Right.
You may, I mean, that's something you need to discuss with
Ma'am.
Mr. Salinas, the city manager, sir.
I'm just saying that
You're the
I
one
don't
that-
know what you're talking about.
The electricity is
Um,
still gonna have to be paid monthly, ma'am. The electricity
So
still
I
has to
think-
be paid.
I think, Mr. Perez, I'm sure you've done your, what it is, what we've entrusted you to do your studies, and obviously the company has too. And we can argue all night, or we can discuss, not argue, we can discuss all night. But if we have any,
Mr. Perez,
Any
and I wanted to ask you, and I know you mentioned it right now, Mr. Alfonso Perez, what does Yamin recommend? What does Mr. Recommend our AC?
Tell him, I mean, he's right here.
Oh, I didn't even, oh, I'm sorry.
I recommend an upgrade on the district, you know. All the schools, you know, they're going up for LEDs. So, I mean, we have to go forward.
Do you see this?
Dark.
Do you see
That's
this?
fine. I don't know.
You've talked to other, I guess, at other school districts, because I know now we're not the only school district with this, too, Mr. But is this something that you see as being a benefit to our district?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Yamil, and I agree with you. It is, you know, we do need to move forward in the first place. So I agree with you there. And also I agree with you that we do want to you know, better our facilities, and we do want to have this, but I think that before we approve a project in this size or this amount of money, I think that we need to look at the budget and let us see it and review it too, because we're the ones that are approving it. I just want to be able to see where the money is going to come from, how it's going to come from. I mean, I'm glad we're getting those $300,000. Congratulations to the city of Roma for bringing that up in the city. And then we were able to get that savings here in the school as well. So I'm glad that they gave you all the heads up to be able to do that. And that we saved those 300,000 and we're going to get a reimbursement for it. And now we're not going to be paying the taxes for it. But it's just too much money. Like I say, and I agree with you, Ms. Alvarez, you know, we can be here discussing all night. So I mean, whatever it is that you need to do, I understand why the questions don't want to continue, but that's fine.
Does any other member have any other questions for either Mr. Yamil or for Mr. Perez? Anybody else?
Again, I just want to make it clear,
Yes.
the money and the payment is coming from the savings that you are getting. We're already paying.
I'm sorry.
The savings coming from the savings that we're going to get from the LED lights.
Million, is that correct?
I'm sorry, Mr. Perez, Mr. Moreno and Mr. Perez were talking at the same time. We couldn't hear. So if we can please, Mr. Perez, can you go first, please?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Mr. Perez, just to be clear, we would be financing 1.8 million, correct, for 5 years?
Correct.
And the yearly payment after the project would run around would run $380,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And where is that money coming from, Mr. Perez?
From the energy savings, man.
We're going to save 380,000 in a year?
We're gonna save 460,000.
That's your estimate.
How
That's
much are we
being
paying right now, Mr. Perez, per month?
Excuse me?
How much are we paying right now per month?
Yeah, we need to, it's about 7 million, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there or more.
Mr. Perez, about 2 years ago, we approved pretty much around the same time or maybe 2 months later, a project kind of maybe in the size a little bit less, but I believe it was about $1.5 million when we replaced the air conditioners for the elementaries.
For FJ Scott?
For all of them, for all the campuses. I think we got the air conditioning system for all the elementary gyms, remember?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago as well.
That was
How much
500,000,
was it? Okay, that was 2 years ago as well? That was 2 years ago?
more or less, yes. I think it was about 2 years ago.
What was the amount on that,
Okay.
Mr. Perez?
About 550,000, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the figures.
1.8.
No.
No,
No. Okay, well, and what I meant was a big project and who
Oh,
was,
okay, project.
yeah, who was the company that did that, Mr. Perez?
Train.
Train, so it's the same company.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They're the manufacturers, the company that runs the ACs. And I'm sure a lot of businesses everywhere have that company. So if there is no further discussion, Mr. Moreno, you were saying something, I'm sorry, you're good. Okay, anyone else, any further discussion?
Yes, Madam
ahead.
President, if I may ask Mr. Perez Poncho, do you know the area coverage of light on those LED, like for example, one pole in the parking lot? Don't know, Poncho,
The whole area,
the coverage, just one, like for example, one pole or one light,
the-
más o menos, roughly.
how much is covered? Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reason the reason I'm asking because
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Poncho, the reason I'm asking is that we have those LED lights at our office, the state office, and I was just curious, and if, for example, you have 4 poles right now, existing poles with the old lights in the parking lot, and is it possible like for 2 to cover the existing 4 instead of 4 new ones? Or I mean, I'm just curious.
The coverage, you're talking about the coverage of the light, right, though?
Right. Sí, porque como ahorita if you have 4, for example, of the
You
old
can
type,
probably go to 2.
and you light, and you light certain area, I think 2 can make up for those 4 of the LED lights. Am I explaining más o menos? Can you understand me or no?
Yes, you are. But the coverage more or less should be maybe a little bit more than what we currently have. But I still think we need the same amount of fixtures.
Right. See, but I mean, you'd have it well lit, I guess. Yeah,
Mhm.
That's fine.
That would have been
Thank
part,
you,
that would have
Madam
been part of
President.
the study.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That would have been included, Mr. Perez, in the study,
Study.
correct?
Yes.
The amount of lighting needed or the amount of
All that
poles
is-
or fixtures.
All that is here. Yes.
I have a question. Mr. Perez, are we in a rush to do this?
Rush. Well, the only rush that we have, number one, of course, is to start saving money immediately. The second one is a AEP rebate. It's not going to be available anymore after this.
Is there any way that you can go out for bids for the project? I know what the answer is gonna be, that it's on buy board. Well, not necessarily, because in buy board means that you get the best price. There's a lot of companies on buy board and they all have different prices, but every single time that we've gone out for bids, we've managed to get some type of a savings from it. And for some reason, we've kind of stopped the bidding process, or going out for bids, within different aspects. So is there any way that we can go out for bids?
We could, but I wouldn't recommend it, ma'am. With a company like this, I think you're getting, if not the most reputable, one of the most reputable companies out there.
Again,
But
Mr.
why
Perez,
can't you just see and then give us the opportunity to look at the price, Mr. Perez, and then you can continue to give your recommendation, but let the board decide based on the numbers that come in. I mean, it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't recommend to go out for bids to try to get a better price. It's taxpayer money, sir.
Yeah,
Mr. Perez, is this something that Train offered, or you went out looking for this
I actually discussed it with them.
with Train?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Perez, when you say that, that we would begin seeing savings immediately, what exactly do you mean by immediately?
Immediately, once everything is installed, everything is functioning, all the controls are installed, there will be a decrease in amount of kilowatts used. So there will be a savings.
Pardon me for interrupting, but you're looking at a completion of this, if this project is accepted, you're looking at a completion date of December?
Yes, sir.
You start right away, so we would actually have to wait till the following year to begin seeing savings.
What we want to do now, if approved today, they would start with the 2 middle schools and the high school, which are our largest campuses right now, immediately. And then if come August, if school begins, they will start working on those elementary campuses in the afternoons.
So
until
then the 6 month projected completion or whatever until December, that would be the entire project.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Perez, I have a question, Alfonso. I know we're talking about savings and all that. Is there any way we can track those savings once they start being installed? So
Oh, yes.
so you can present it to us in the
Oh, yeah.
future?
That's one of the things with this. We're going to be able to track that immediately.
Okay.
Mr. Perez, can you give us, or can you send the board members a copy of the savings that we're saving by not paying the taxes right now? Because we're already saving that much. So can you send us what the savings was per month, just in taxes, please?
Yes.
How much were we paying monthly, Mr. Perez?
On electricity,
Right, or what was being taxed? It's a certain percentage of the bill, no?
overall, the taxes that are owed to us is about 340,000, I believe,
Over a 3-year period, or how long?
for a 3-year period. Yes.
About 100,000 a month, a year, I'm sorry.
Mm.
We're talking about what, 10, 11,000 a month. That's the savings. If they still need it on paper, but that's what it would be, about 11, 12,000 a month. That's the
When do you
paper that they want to see.
When do you expect?
Yes, I'd want it in paper, please.
Mr. Pettis, when do you expect that reimbursement for the taxes? Just curious.
Hopefully within the next month, 2 months. That's what I've been working on.
Okay, so if no further questions, do I have a motion for agenda item number 4?
I so
I
move.
so move, Madam President, to approve item number 4.
I have Mr. Salinas with a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Moreno, I have a second.
Can you add, I don't know, to that motion that are we gonna stick to the 5 years on the
Yes.
5-year plan? Okay,
I'm recommending the 5-year plan.
okay.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Salinas, a second by Mr. Moreno. If no further discussion, all those in favor? If I can see or hear everybody, please.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for it, and all those against? 2, 3 against. 3, 4, 3 against. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, employment and resignation of professionals and paraprofessionals. Mr. Guzman.
Approve as
Just
presented.
exactly as presented, no changes.
This will move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
I'm sorry, I have Mr. Sines doing the motion, and who seconded?
Second.
Ms. Moreno. We have Mr. Sines doing the first motion, Mr. Moreno second. If no further discussion, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand. All
Aye.
those against? So that's 7 for it, 0 against, motion passes. And before we continue on here on this section, I just want to, I was told earlier today that there was a recognition for some employees that had resigned, or not resigned, they had retired. So at that time, I know there was a little, I don't know if it was a ceremony, presentation of awards. So at this time, I'd like to recognize these people via video conference, which is Mrs. Janie Castillo thank you for 19 years of service with Roma ISD. We have Miss Olivia Yvonne Gonzalez with 38 years of service to Roma ISD. Mr. Heraldo Gonzalez, 39 years of service. Mr. Gilberto Perez III, 29 years of service. And Ms. Ella Lu Perez with 29 years of service. Congratulations to everybody, all those 5 teachers or employees of Roma ISD. Thank you for all those years of service and doing what you were doing and teaching, they were all teachers here at our district, and keeping our students with their continuous learning as they did for all those years that they were able to provide their services to Roma ISD. Congratulations to all 5.
Congratulations.
And
Congratulations to all the retirees.
agenda item number 6, adjournment.
I so move to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. Moreno, a second by Mr. Sines. And before we conclude, I want to welcome and thank Mr. Weller for attending our meeting. It's been a while since we had seen you, sir. So it's nice seeing another face on our screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Hope everybody, your family, everybody out there is doing well, and we will continue talking to you, sir. And again, I have the motion by Mr. Moreno, second by Mr. Science. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? 7-0, motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 6:49. Everybody stay safe. Thank
Good
you.
to see you all. Good to see everybody. Have a good night.
Likewise.
Steven.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye,
Take
Steven.
care. Take care, everybody. Be careful.
You too.